Welcome to Bunnycast number 25. Oops, we did it again for January 29th, 2010.
Whoa. Any requests, anybody?
Stairway!
Stairway!
Stairway! Woo! Stage dive!
Sometimes the dreams come back and seem so real to me. The sky turns so cold and black. I'm scared of what I see, but I'm not afraid anymore. You vanquished my fears. You gave me a reason to laugh and stole all my tears.
Alright, and welcome to yet another Bunnycast. We are back from quite a long hiatus. I am your host/hostess, take your pick, Dame Helennet the LeatherClad. Joining me today is Squato, naturally. And we also have the Right Reverend Lord Sir Killerfish of the Keenfans. And joining us as well is our brand new part-time, fully fledged host, Sir Xepharon the Prepared.
Wait, we should make something very clear. He was brought in to be a permanent host, as one of us was moved out. Unfortunately, this new show for this other person didn't quite work out, so we're bringing them back in, and Zeph demoted back down to guest.
Yeah?
Subtle reference to something.
Well, as we don't know what that's a reference to, sorry, bye.
I'm confused.
Team Coco.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Team Coco.
No idea.
I have no idea.
No idea at all. Okay, so let's move straight into news. Let's get this party started. As far as the forum goes, we actually have quite a bit to talk about that, those of us who have been on the forum. Squato, why don't you lead us in on this, just to give us a little bit of background.
Which particular incident would that be?
Just just give us a whole general
Rundown.
the problem that we're having with the forums right now.
Oh, sorry, just trying to find a proper link for it. Apparently comes up with Turkey. Good for that.
Hooray!
Yummy.
Okay, getting that one. Okay, basically with the forum thing, there was, this was a couple of months back, but I figured it's worth actually noting because of the reaction that happened at the time. Basically, they had decaf on. Okay, sorry, someone just messaged.
Yeah, that's Zeph.
Yes, it's not, and has been pointed out by Zeph. Thank you, Zeph.
Yeah,
Actually,
don't message during the thing right now.
I was making a generalized statement so you all knew that I've not been on the 910X forums recently.
Well, that actually touches more on what we're going to be talking about with this. Keep going, Squato.
Sorry.
Yeah. Basically, what happened with the incident itself is Decaf started a thread in one of the main areas about how at the moment, well, since EGS joined and 910, there's been somewhat of a breakdown in the forums, and by that he means is that what previously used to be quite a united forums, where there was a main area where everyone had discussions, things like that, even though there was a large area for comics. With the arrival of EGS and the bunnies, basically this broke down, and there was the new area just for where people could also discuss with EGS, like general chats, and this led to there being a separate, smaller community inside the whole section of the forums who never wanted to mix with anyone outside of that group. So when Decaf said, look, we've got to shut down these other sections and have one general area where everyone can merge and talk together, which the old members enjoyed, but the new ones from the bunnies, somewhere between, yeah, they're interested in it, and others that were outright opposed to it as being communist propaganda to try and destroy the internets.
destroy the internet, that'll happen.
Well,
My plans go on.
bad Killerfish.
No, ow!
My evil plan is 7% complete. But the loading bar is frozen.
Try and guess which one's patting the kitty, as they say that.
Patting the kitty.
So to speak.
As the actress said to the bishop.
Bounce chicka bow wow?
I kind of wanted to touch on this because this is actually something that's turning into sort of a pretty big deal, and the problem is we're only starting to see the effects of this now. I mean, when the switchover occurred from Keen to 910,
910.
we all heard that there was a bunch of people that just were not going to make the jump, which was, irritating, a little bit sad, but it's one of those things we kind of expected because we're
in fact, one of the reasons why they felt they shouldn't make the jump is because they would be felt to be forced into doing something they didn't like, i.e., mixing with people they didn't want to.
Well, there's something to be said for that, and I'm going to get to that in a second.
What's this? Nerds not wanting to talk to people they don't know? What?
Well,
what's funny about this situation is both groups see themselves as being nice, open, and very friendly to everyone, and yet they're being aggressively against the idea of mixing.
That's actually kind of where I'm going, and I mean, I've got my own opinions on this, and I'll let me say those right now. Here's where I'm coming from. We've got in the bunnies a bunch of people that had gotten very comfortable and used to each other, and as far as I could tell, anyways, there were some minor incidents on the outskirts, and some outliers that were causing problems, but in general, the bunnies would say, "Okay, new bunnies, welcome in. In fact, here's your own thread and your own forum, and we're gonna pounce on you, and we're gonna give you goodie bags, and we're gonna welcome you into all these role plays, and we're gonna invite you to games. We're gonna engage with you in discussions about the comic." It was a whole big thing where anybody new was welcomed with open arms. And
potentially drawn into comics as well.
I never really got into the 910 forums when I was just reading the Watch. I was pretty much a bunny, and that's where I stayed. So I can't speak much for the Watchers. However, I will say this: they had two things going against them in my mind. Number one, from people who were Watchers and active on the 910 forums before the merge or the jump happened, I heard a lot of stuff about the Watchers being somewhat, well, shall we say, intolerant of people who were not of their belief system. And we're not even going to talk about what those belief systems are, because they do have their own variety, and they are somewhat inclusive themselves, as we've talked about. But that intolerance has really shown itself to be the case. And I'll get into that in a second. And then problem number two came when that Ultimate Comic crossover occurred with the forum wars, and it was just a really great big mess between the bunnies and the Watchers. And I think that's the main source of where a lot of this comes from.
Well, that depends. With that little point there, it depends on if I'm meant to be Satan for my little part in apparently everything that went down with that, or not.
Devil.
Squato did have double wings and horns, so,
I could draw you a new avatar with horns.
Oh, I've had worse done for me.
Yes, like the crotch shot of doom.
Thank you, Troy.
I'm sorry.
God, I was repressing that. You had to bring it on.
I'm going into relapse.
The goggles, they do nothing!
Not Austrian enough.
Goggles, they do nothing.
Up and at them.
It's up and at them.
Anyway, okay, we're getting off track. Normally that's Homer's line.
Desperately off track. Okay, so...
But one thing I will say about with... sorry, the webcomic wars if we do have a discussion with that, and someone from that is actually very interested in joining into that discussion, I'm not going to say who it is, but it's something for another day if we so choose to have that. And that's all I'm going to have to say on that issue, because otherwise I really just don't want to have a discussion with that, because I'm just so fucking sick of the bullshit that I keep hearing from that. Like, well, especially when they took people's dreams and made them nightmares.
Let's see. Here's my proposed solution. Everybody who's complaining, shut the fuck up, sit down, and start enjoying yourselves.
Well, to me, like I said, I haven't been really part of the 910 forums, but this brings a simple statement that I think, should come into effect with those people that buy those premium channels on TV, HBO, and whatnot. This channel offends me. Change the fucking channel.
Yeah, it's not like there is not a ton of available forums and threads and places to go on 910.
If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Exactly. And personally, I think there's too many threads and forums and whatnot on 910, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah. Well, that is one problem.
Variations
even the old ones.
Toothpicks, which one character uses in one particular comic. Discuss.
I laugh because it's true.
That's just one of my Sorry, go ahead.
No, with what your point about how too large an area there is with 910, yeah, there is several different proposals to how to fix that up if need be. For instance, besides the fact that there is actually one that's already there, which seems like no one really uses, which is that people that are users of the forum have the ability to collapse down whole sections of the forum. For instance, you don't like any of those comics that are on display there in the webcomic section, you don't need to look at their forums.
Doesn't that sort of promote the antisocial behaviour that they were talking about the bunnies in the first place?
Who cares? The antisocials are going to be antisocial.
Yeah, and the ones that hate it and still look at it are going to be trolls.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it promotes trolling, which can be funny in some cases, but usually not.
Some cases.
Bazooka!
Okay, so
that's always been a pet peeve of mine, though, is people that complain and complain and complain, and then they sit there and wonder why everything sucks because everyone's complaining and not doing anything about it. Well, here's your chance, guys. Yes, that was Green Day?
No, that was oh, damn it, they're on my iPhone. Lincoln Park, thank you.
Lincoln Park, that's one. No, but so yeah, here you go, all you bunnies.
Who are these newfangled bands you're talking about?
Here's your chance to do something about it. For the ones who are complaining. So.
Yes.
And if people still keep on complaining, well, I've got one thing to say: Thunderdome.
Nah, I'm just going with the STFU and GTFO.
I was thinking. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Oh my god, what the fuck, Dairy Queen BBQ?
That's what she said.
I don't understand a word any of you are saying. I'm just going to play Greensleeves and then hope you all go away.
Let's move on to comic news.
Actually, one quick thing I will go back and say, sorry to go on that. With the forum wars, I know I'm going to stay with my comment before. Look, the reason why I made my comment is I've been hearing for the last 2 years people complaining about what was done then, especially by myself, trying to merge at least 100 different stories and plots and characters together into something which I had to throw together in less than 2 weeks, because that was the time frame I was given by everyone else. If you weren't happy, I tried to accommodate you. If you're still not happy, can I have a pin to just burst your ego so you can get the fuck over it? That is all.
Now you know how I felt as being plotmaster of the war thread.
Okay, you're not maniacal enough to lead into crying just yet. Let's try this again.
Somebody go get
once
Homer
more with feelings.
Once more with feeling from down here.
Needs more Buffy Vampire Slaying musicals.
That'll bring anybody to tears.
Moving on.
Comic news.
Has anybody actually been reading the comic?
Yes, of course I've been reading the comic.
There's a comic? There's a comic? When did anyone tell me this? It's not like we've got anything for the podcast. Yes, no one gave me the email. It's not like there's a podcast for anything that I'm not apparently in the know about.
So, let's just say Sister 2 turned out to be a hell of a lot more plot-horrific than I expected.
Which is interesting because when it first started, everyone's like, "Oh my God, please, can we just stop this? This is too much like Grace's birthday party." And now it's finished. Final thoughts is where we're up to.
Yeah. So here's my thing. If Mrs. Kitsune knew about Nanase's magic use, did she always know about Nanase's gender orientation? And how much exactly does she know about her daughter?
Also,
well, this is
latest strip. She has no sister.
Well, with the
Sorry. I hear crickets.
I'm sorry, I'm actually half reading it
Oh,
at the moment because I've been a bit too busy with work. Yay, stupid people.
You have a job?
Yes.
Wait, you have one of those?
Two of us are gainfully employed.
Help me find work.
You've
I
completely
need
blown
my
mind
life.
there.
Yes,
I need a life.
you need more Princess Leia pleading for that to work.
That can be arranged.
No! 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 Not with that liberal application of FP5 first.
Anyway, talking about the comic.
Well, actually, you know how Homer said about... Sorry.
See,
Can I
I'm
say...
actually trying to pull this.
But I was going to say about with Mrs. Nanase's mother,
The comic.
at this point now, how do people feel? Because I know there is still a huge amount of people that hate Mrs. Kinsu because they feel that she's too mean to her daughter for being... However you want to put it.
These people have obviously not met my stepmom.
Or don't live in the real world.
I think it's way too soon to judge reactions. Killerfish, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that basically, those people who think that she's being too mean tend to forget that in fact she is a mother. And mothers are really concerned about their children.
Mm-hmm.
And that tends to put their actions to seem as if they're doing things merely for being mean, but it's not. You have to consider the other point of view here. And
Like the
that's
fact that
me sounding serious for the day.
Yeah, if you consider the other point of view, like the fact that they lived with them for 18 years, have gone through all the irritations and angers and troubles that the kid has caused the parent, like the destruction of their property, of their house, and let's not forget this child is magical.
Yeah.
True.
My wit, it has left me.
Indeed.
Laugh, damn you.
Oh,
Okay.
To the Zeppelin!
No, we did Zeppelin already.
I will be the comic
dirigible.
support. I won't be what causes laughter, but I will lead you guys into the jokes where you guys can make them and laugh.
At your expense.
I'm a support role today. Support mage.
So let's move on to general news.
actually, before we move on this,
with the one thing with the
comic.
The comic.
Okay, we have two things with the
Yeah.
comic. Killerfish, go.
Go kill the fish.
Right, I wanted to talk about EGS NP. Dan's been updating that recently with various one-shots.
Yes,
small,
yes, he has for a
small
while
mini
now.
comics.
Oh, wow.
So I just encourage people to look into those because they have the same style and they're more laugh orientated than the main story is. If you understand what I mean.
Sorry.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, one way that
I'm
someone
just
actually
behind
put
the corner.
which was the point I was going to make anyway, but one point that someone made is the way that the new style seems to be is almost Far Side-like in how they're more self-contained humour and they don't relate to anything else with it. Unlike Far Side, they're all funny.
Burn!
I've always gotten a chuckle out of Larson.
Okay, so, can we
How
move
about
on?
the one with a duck on the head, which is trying to quote philosophy? Is that funny?
No, but the one with the frog which is stuck to the underside of an aeroplane is.
Okay, so let's move on to miscellaneous news. First up on my list is the launch of Apple's Jesus tablet. No, the iPad.
I still say that sounds like a very bad pun for a tampon.
Yeah,
You know-
no, the joke has been
Actually, what I find funny is the fact that with the product launch, the day it launched, didn't even rate the top 10 on Twitter. iTampon did. It was number
Not
2.
surprising.
Yeah, no, I buy that. I buy that. It's an impressive enough product for me to want one, but as I told my wife, unless work is going to be handing them out to the employees, I'm probably not going to get one this year.
Yeah, as one good review was on Gorka, I think it was Gorka. Yeah, Gorka. That they made the point about with the iPads is that you'll have some geeks are going to be all massively ego boosting for it and getting their heart on because even though they hate the problems with it, and one of the points that one of their sister sites said is that it's basically a big futurism point, but in the wrong way. These geeks are going to love it, but they're going to hate even if they hate it, they're only getting it for the shiny.
So, like any other technical product that is being brought out within this century, really.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody was watching the coverage that the Twitch Networks was doing of CES, but that's...
Nope.
I was not.
They actually have some of that posted online, including an interview between the host of the network, Leo Laporte, and...
Was this before or after Hitler made his comments about how he didn't like it?
What?
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 Oh, that stupid thing. No.
Yes, that meme.
I'm purposely ignoring that because that stupid little film clip has been beaten into the ground.
Are we talking about the Inglourious Basterds clip?
No.
We're talking about that quote, the bit from the movie Downfall, which is being used for basically any and all subjects someone's not too happy about. Because it has Hitler going, at some point.
Oh, I was asking because a friend of mine showed me a clip where it's Hitler going 9999999.
10. Forums.
Yeah, the guy's like, yes, my show, or some shit.
So, Australian censorship. Everybody agree that the Australian government is at this point being absolutely stupid?
Hey, I didn't vote for that bastard.
If you didn't vote for him, and I didn't vote for him, who voted for him?
Well, you couldn't because you're not Australian.
That's not the point. Shut up with your logic.
For the bunnies who are listening who are unfamiliar with what's going on, Australia is...
There's 3 main points, but yeah.
They are, the sort of the laughingstock of the internet right now, in that they are trying to filter all unsafe websites from the internet going to Australia, and they're trying
Also
to...
known as the Great Barrier, Internet Barrier, or however you want to play with the Great Barrier Reef.
They're protecting the children by making sure that video games are... No,
with the internet filtering, it's all there to protect everyone from child porn, because that's the only thing on the internet which is bad. Hence, they're blocking a site for a dentist. And his company. Because
of the fact that dentists put things in children's mouths. You know,
Chef, why would anyone want to put anything up my ass? Come on, children.
Don't get me started on my voice.
Look, basically with this, basically what the whole thing is that it was the government saying, oh, we're going to do this, even though the previous government tried it in about 2004 and found it was unworkable. The new one, first thing they've done is that, we're going to do this internet filtering
But
scheme.
it'll work this time!
God, what does that
No,
remind me of
well,
when America tried to censor music from kids because the music is making these kids grow up to commit crimes.
Triple jaw. Gotta love her.
You know what it is that I'm sorry, but what it is that I'm going off on a random tangent here. Give me a moment. I'll be done shortly. What it is that kids are growing up. Wait. The reason these kids are growing up to be so trouble is because we're not allowed to spank our kids or anything. / rant. Thank you.
Killerfish,
Good to know.
Fun?
Go.
Go for what?
You were trying to say something.
He likes pie.
I brutally interrupted you. Go now.
No. I was. Don't like when people look at me like that.
Okay, Squato. Continue.
Okay, basically what I was going to say is, the Australian government said, we're going to go and fill this scheme. Look, technically there is some points that could be made with it, not counting the crap about the child porn because that's stupid, and really if you wanted to stop child porn, you really do the best way, which is what the FBI does, which is you monitor the sites so that if there is pedophiles looking at it, you can get them, not block access, so that you stop the authorities actually tracking down the pedophiles, because now they're going to use other ways around it.
Wait,
Thinking.
use common sense when it comes to law enforcement? No way!
You speak
Common sense when
blasphemy!
it comes to politics.
Oh,
You speak
right.
blasphemy! Lies!
What was I thinking? Thank you, Killerfish.
Good. Well, I will admit that is a funny point, considering the fact that our Prime Minister loves to speak Chinese whenever he can, because it makes him intelligent. And not like he's sailing out the country.
I'm going to start a new online poll to see if we can't get common sense to be renamed as uncommon sense. Because really, it's not common anymore.
Well, apparently that's a superpower, remember?
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
It's on your character sheet under special abilities. Traits and talents.
Well, okay, so
It's not innate, it is learned.
continuing the censorship theme,
I'm currently skill level 3.
Australia also decided that video games over, what was it, M or whatever it was?
Well, no. Well, I'll just sort of say, because since I'm actually Australian, this is one time where I kind of do know a bit more about it. Sorry. I was going to say with that internet scheme that the government was saying, we're going to do something about it. They did a test run where everyone said it was not going to work, and then they got the results like, see, we got the perfect results here, which they're not releasing, which showed that, yes, it works perfectly fine. It's better than fact, and we're going to release this scheme so that everyone's going to be using this net filter scheme, which is not going to slow the internet down. Bullshit! And they're saying, even our biggest companies agree, and here they are, cut to Telstra, Optus and all the others, and they're saying, the filtering scheme does filter this stuff, but we're not saying exactly it works that well, but we're saying it can work, and if maybe. They're not exactly saying the scheme, which the government's all touting as being the greatest thing ever, again, is going to work. So that's currently the bullshit at the moment, is apparently the government's going to bring it out irrespective of what's going to happen.
So,
see what happens.
So what they're saying is, as long as nobody actually surfs the intertubes, it works.
Which is probably their best way of describing it. Well, the best way of doing it, other than the way China's doing it. Ooh, another China burn. I'm talking about the big Chinese not the net, intranet that the Chinese government's trying to set up.
Firewall, yes.
What the I'm sorry. I'm going...
Basically, China at the moment is trying to set it up so that the only people that can access the internet in there, besides the Chinese, from outside, have to spend a lot of money to the Chinese government so they could be on there after they follow certain rules, which means that effectively China's going to have a giant intranet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at one of Dan's NP comics, and I have to describe this to you. This is just too funny. And by the way, I have a 2-year-old in the room now. It's talking about the market research of video game mascots, and it says, today we'd like your opinions on this iconic Italian plumber. And then it's like everybody's like, what if that dude with a mustache should be a chick, preferably hot and skimpy? Double D's, lesbian sidekick, and princesses. And when she gets a mushroom, she'd be her breast then. And she's all like, gentlemen, we're discussing a mascot for a series of family-friendly games. Please turn off your penises. and the next panel is great because you see a bunch of click, 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 and people are like, oops, did I leave that on my bed?
Yeah.
I'm the same way with kitchen lights. I saw that, and I was like, what?
That one's hilarious. I love that one.
Turn off your gentlemen, turn off your penises. It runs along lines with, gentlemen, start your stupid.
Is this something about what Dan thinks about for the future?
I have no idea. I just saw that was please turn off your penises. Click, 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 click.
I'm sure that, look, there's some section of the internet's going to have some fun of being offended by that little comic by Dan, but you know what? Fuck it. That way actually is funny.
That's funny as hell. Okay.
With the video games, that point there is about how they're trying to censor video games there because they don't have an R rating in Australia. Truth be told, the Australian government actually does want to bring out an R rating for for video games. But the problem is they can't get it done unless you get signed off by all the attorney generals in all the states. And unfortunately, there is one attorney general. He's from South Australia, so he's a fucktard already, because Adelaide sucks, and you don't want to ever go there, trust me. And this is being honest, trust me, who basically says that, no, video gaming is something that it shouldn't be for adults, because adults don't play video games. Despite market research showing that the average age of the gamer is about 27.
35 here in the States.
It's an interesting thing about that. I'm trying to get a business started, and according to market research for the type of industry I'm going into, market research does say that most online gamers in the United States are, in their majority, in their 40s.
Oh, yeah, no adults play video games. None at all. Nope.
Yeah, so that's what
does that mean there's a market? Does that mean there's a market out there for like slippers for older gamers? You know, slippers with rumble packs.
Mario. Don't worry, there's underwear with Mario.
Copyright Killerfish.
Like that.
That would be.
I don't even want to begin.
Killerfish.
I don't want to think about underwear with rumble packs. Come on now.
Been done, already made. Moving on.
But yeah, the games because of that.
Not play video games. Big kids do.
But yeah, because of the fact there's no R rating, you have some really dumb things like, for instance, with Left 4 Dead 2, which, to tell you the truth, it really did one thing. It showed just how stupid that game is otherwise, particularly because when you kill the zombie, they disappear before they die. Because it's gore otherwise.
I've got Left 4 Dead 2. That game rocks hardcore.
I've played the Australian version, which I did get for free. I'm not exactly saying how, but yes, I do actually have it for free. It's somewhat enjoyable, but really and there is problems with it, and the Australian version really does make it stand out. And yes, I do refer to the Australian version because of just how stupid the censored version is.
Yeah, that makes it stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
That's that. But the other thing is with South Australia, there is one other point I was going to make, and that's just showing how dumb this guy is. He's snuck in a new law which means that it's illegal to display R-rated material, like DVDs and that, to people, so that these basically, if you want to watch, you can't go to a DVD store to purchase an R-rated film because, well, you can, but they're going to be out the back, and under a hidden shelf, and they're going to be in an undisplayed case. Why? Because people could be influenced by what's on display there. Particularly those very questionable material on there. Like, for instance, the movie Fight Club, which has a bar of soap, which is offensive.
Yes. That obviously must be kept in a locked case in the basement, hidden behind a toilet with a sign of beware of death.
Rock on! Rock on! Hitchhiker's Guide reference. Gorgeous. Go flat. Anyways.
So yes, that's just a big massive fail there.
Fail!
So, okay. Last news item, and let's make this quick. Squato, you've got 2 minutes.
I'll do it in 30 seconds.
That works.
Basically, they got a new everyone knows the product Vegemite. There is a new product from Vegemite Vegemite decided they were going to come up with a new product because, a lot of people in Australia like their taste. People outside of Australia, not so much fans of the taste. So they came up with a less bitter version of Vegemite. And they wanted Australians to pick the name.
No, he's got 10 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, so they decided to come up with a new name for it. They had a big vote for it, and the name which apparently was picked was... Drumroll?
3, 2, 1. Time's up.
I Snack 2.0.
That's all you need to say.
That's the name of this food. I Snack 2.0.
Can I use the drama button now?
Go for it.
I have to ask Homer.
All right.
Say it again, Squato.
The name, I Snack 2.0. Basically, everyone mocked it for being how stupid it was, and it cost them about $2 million just to launch that name, and the next day, they then, because people were saying how stupid it was, it was 2 days, but close enough to a day, they decided, okay, we're going to withdraw the name because we obviously weren't too sure when we launched the name, which apparently they had the competition, they picked 2 weeks before the end, disregarding all other entries which may have been better, like, say, Vegemate, Veggie Light, or crap like that, and decided to go with iSnack 2.0.
I personally like the Veggie Light idea.
Yeah. Well, they've actually relaunched it with Vegemite Cheesy Mate, or something along those lines. But, yeah, because of this disastrous relaunch, and what's now going to be up there with Duff Beer in terms of, in future, rare-to-find items, and yes, there is actually a Duff Beer was launched in Australia. Before the lawyers shut that one down. Because of the fact that this one failed so badly, yeah, it's just going to be hilarious in the long run, because especially due to the fact that they wasted $10 million producing 6 months' worth of stock, which they immediately had to withdraw from sale and destroy.
Well, at least they didn't name it nitroglycinate.
I Snack 2.0? Maybe that's a bit more fail, though, than calling it nitroglycerine.
Okay, so now we get to the meat of the matter, and
but hey, at least Apple beat them with the iPad name. That's even more stupid.
We're going to get to the meat of the show, and as those of you who watch regularly will notice, we are not breaking the show into two this week for a reason, or we're about to get into it now. Where have we been? What have we been doing? Why were we on a hiatus? Where is my shirt?
Where's my pants?
Do you have your towel?
Where are my pants?
I'm sitting on my towel right now.
Don't forget your towel.
But where are my pants?
My towel.
Okay,
I don't want to look over in your direction to check. If I could even figure out which way to look.
Bulging crotch.
Well, if you find my pants, I'm happy.
Yes, maybe we can end the crotch shot of doom.
Yeah, that's what.
So let's.
Okay, use dramatic music there then.
Yeah, right. No, I figured once was enough, and I'd get yelled at if I did it more. Oh yeah, 2-year-old's awake.
So,
And it's,
Xepharon, you don't necessarily have to chime in on this one because, well, you weren't part of what eventually resulted in the several-month-long hiatus. So
No, but I can still tell you where I've been.
ironically enough, our entire break coincided with the length of the Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien. Coincidence?
I think.
Second reference to Team Coach.
As far as myself, I'll put this out there, get it out of the way. My big thing was I was just running out of time. Things were getting really hectic with work. Freya was at a stage where she was growing. To give you an idea, she used to be crawling in diapers, and that's when we left off on the show. And formula, not even really on baby food really regularly. Now she's on solid food, wanting to be potty trained, running around, causing havoc, and she's actually starting to try and put together sentences. So, Freya.
I love the emphasis on trying.
Well, yeah, she's not there yet. She's stringing together a bunch of syllables and trying to talk to us. And it's really cute. It's adorable. But we don't understand the thing she's trying to tell us.
Just don't make the mistake that my friend has made in teaching the child phrases because it sounds cute coming out of a 2-year-old's mouth, like "go to hell."
No, yeah. No.
Seriously, the 3-year-old in the house who they've done that with is becoming quite the problem.
Oh, I'm sure.
Let me guess. What phrase coming out with at the moment can make you think of Beatles during their LSD era.
I don't know.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Yeah, yellow Submarine.
Well,
You have to watch that movie stoned. That's the only way it's going to make sense. I have seen it while completely sober, I guess, is what you would call the non-stone state. But and it made absolutely no sense. By the way, I would like to say that I've never been stoned watching it, so I've never been stoned actually, for that matter.
Well,
just in case there's any confusion.
The Blue Meanie, that's the obvious analogue for the policeman, and he's trying to take their happiness away, which means he's trying to take their drugs from them. It's all quite sensible if you think about it, really.
Well, to give you everybody an idea, Freya's dad, that's me, is a stickler for English. Freya's mom is a interpreter for the deaf, and we take her to a Mexican babysitter.
Oh God, this child's going to be bad. No.
I'm just wondering if she's going to end up speaking Finnish out of this.
All right.
She's actually mixing sign, Spanish, and English already, which is fine because kids who are multilingual before the age of 2 actually do really, really well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Unfortunately, I have to depend on other people to translate for me and online programs. But hey, I've been playing with the Rosetta Stone.
I speak English good.
Speaking of Killerfish, why don't you tell us what's been going on during the break?
Well, I've been on a massive bout of unemployment, which has been fun. Huzzah! It's actually got me in a bit of a state, if you understand what I mean. Just trying to get to grips with where I am at the moment. I've just recently in December passed into the 1/8 of my...
Killerfish, you're in England. That's your big hint. There's your grip on reality there.
Yeah, as I was trying to say, in December I passed the 1/8 of my expected life expectancy goal. So, 25. Yeah, I'm expecting to live to 200.
I'm sorry, Killerfish. I'm sitting here. I'm 30.
I was about to say you hit
33, and I'm feeling old because everybody at work is younger than me. And 25. That doesn't feel old to me.
I just hit 25 recently myself. In fact, a few days ago.
Happy birthday,
we should start a club.
On the
which is funny because that means
January.
Which really does mean that Homer is the old fuckly here because, truth be told, most of the people here are actually aged 25.
You old bag.
I'd say bite me, but you'd enjoy it.
With some fava beans and a nice can. Anyway, talking about me, as you may have heard from the beginning of the podcast, I am actually learning how to play the ocarina, which is
badly,
developing.
we might add.
No, I think he's doing
No, actually, I thought it was kind of cool, interesting. We're sitting here talking before the show, and he's sitting here going, I'm learning how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb. We're like, well, play Stairway, and he fucking does it. I was like, what? Oh, shit. I was like, you pulled it out of your ass.
Well,
Maybe he did.
But no, it's just the fact that it's like, I can
to.
play Mary Had a Little Lamb, I can play things from Legend of Zelda. Then he pulls out fucking Stairway. What is that, Van Halen, I think? Stairway?
Oh my god.
I never said my music knowledge was good.
Anyone that wants to shoot him with any various implements, please do now.
Van Halen did Stairway to Heaven at one point.
Yeah, but Zeppelin did it first.
Well, I have some credit there because Van Halen did do it. Not first, but did do it.
Okay, Killerfish, go on.
This is not good on reputation as a DJ.
As I said, I'm learning to play ocarina, and back to Squato's comment, trying to play the ocarina with your arse isn't really very comfortable.
And it leaves a bad aftertaste.
Yeah, it doesn't taste very nice. Other than that, I've been to see a few movies in the cinema with the newfangled 3D of circular polarized light.
I still want to see. I still want to see it that way.
Yes.
I'll pay the extra.
I've just been trying to enjoy myself and work on a certain piece of artwork, which I'm told people are looking forward to, but haven't really got on to. Anyway, on to Squato.
I just want to make it clear, one of my first points is that I haven't seen Dances with Pocahontas in Fern Gully yet, so...
Yes! Win!
It's still a good movie, though.
I'm waiting to see it. I will see it, but I'm waiting to see it in 3D. And the reason why I'm waiting to see it with 3D is because Troy's organising the tickets. Unfortunately, when he tries to get them, they're apparently booked so far ahead that the people laugh at him at IMAX.
Yeah.
No joke, they actually do.
Oh, yeah.
Troy's a laughable guy.
So.
He just doesn't expect them to laugh at him when he tries to order them.
I thought that was kind of normal that we laugh at him. Nah, Troy's a good guy.
Okay, Squato, what has been going on with you the last 2 months?
The last few months, besides the fact that I'm still alive, which is an achievement in itself, yay!
That is always
Wait. You're not a zombie?
And not a radioactive one at the same time, too.
Damn it, my plans have failed. The plans have failed.
Yeah.
That's kind of, to tell you the truth, that's kind of a slight minor joke towards the dust storms which hit Sydney and most of Australia a couple of months back, because it turns out that was coming from Woomera, and particularly where they were testing all the nuclear bombs in the 50s.
That's a radiation
Which means, yeah. That was fun.
It reminds me of a sign I'd seen one time traveling somewhere in the U.S. It says something along the lines of, be very careful traveling down these highways. Nuclear warheads travel down these roads as well. We want to keep our children radiation-free. I wish I had a camera.
Well, that worked well for me in Chernobyl, but, you know.
I've seen that somewhere. I cannot remember where. I was young. I was little.
Squato, continue.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, I've been generally well enough already. Christmas okay, because I actually had the family over together. Other than that, been just driving myself slowly and ever so more insane from work, because it's so fun having to deal with overgrown babies that decide to get into the military because they don't have to be, because they get told to do things by other people, which is fun when they're actually officers.
Oh, well,
Come on now.
Up until you said military, I thought you were talking about Apple's Genius Teams.
Say, hey now, Squato. I'm military too.
I can say whatever the fuck I want about the Australian military, because what's the best you're going to do about it?
What are they going to do about it? They've only got guns and kind of like tanks and aeroplanes. They're not going to do anything to me.
And missiles. To throw them in there.
Look, the job is fun. What I'm doing for a lot of things, but my God, there's so much stupid going on. And look, a lot of it is to do with the people that actually run it, and by that I mean the stupid rules set by Australian government, because it's a lot of military backstabbing and stupidity. For instance, the fact that it would make sense to have one same inventory system for all services, and that includes even the civilian part of it. But no, the civilians have one set of inventory system. The Army has one inventory system that they use. The Navy has an inventory system. The Air Force has an inventory system. And then the warehouses have their own inventory system. And guess what? None of them can talk to each other.
Of course not.
In conclusion, the entire Australian military and government is stupid.
Isn't that the same point with any government and military in the world?
So basically, Squato, what you're saying is if Skynet ever comes online, it will not be in Australia.
No, if Skynet ever comes online and it became in Australia and using the Australian defence systems, it wouldn't go anywhere because it would be too confused trying to get its operating system to work.
So are we going to blame Canada? Blame Canada.
I say we blame New Zealand.
Bad reference?
Oi, don't blame
untasteful?
New Zealand. Don't blame New Zealand, you Australian person, you.
Hey, Kiwis are Australia's Canada.
Yeah, but here's the point. Like, you go up to an Australian and you say, you ask if they're a New Zealander, they laugh. If you go up to a New Zealander and ask if they're Australian, they punch you in the face.
Have you tested this theory?
I'm half
like
New
to say-
Zealander, sir.
You do know
Sorry,
that
really?
you do know that after New Zealand handed back the shotgun to England, they don't actually have a military force anymore. So
I did not know that. It's Killerfish. Killerfish,
well-
Australia.
Yeah. Okay, so where we are going as a podcast, first off,
around the sun at God knows how fast the speed of the planet is at the moment. Sorry.
about 1 year a year. Hey, there you go.
We are going
Good enough.
to an inevitable doom of destruction.
I'll be dead.
Rock on! I will be there. I will be there like the cockroaches afterwards. I will not die. I will be lingering like a bad stench. No.
You already are. So what's the difference?
Okay,
My
so
point exactly, my dear Watson.
where we are going, the Bunnycast is actually going to be expanding out. The Bunnycast itself, what you're hearing right now, is going to remain pretty much as it is. We're going to tweak the formula as necessary, as we have been since the beginning of the show. We're going to have, of course, at least 3 hosts with some guest hosts, and we're going to do webcomic reviews. We're also going to throw in a few product reviews, things that we find interesting and cool, and you'll be able to click right from the Bunnycast webpage to go straight to them. The good folks,
And we're not being paid for them.
the good folks at Shastrix are helping us on the back end to bring some great new features to the Bunnycast website, like we're going to have discussion panels right on the page for the podcast. You'll be able to play the podcast straight on the web page, no more having to open up iTunes. And we're even working on an iPhone web app for it.
With Satrix, I was going to point out that's why they have failed so far to achieve global domination, because they've been working on Shiny.
There's also going to be a wiki engine in the background to allow for, say, if you wanted to make some show notes for us, or if you wanted to correct some show notes, or add some links that, I know this link is here, where we wouldn't be able to think of it while we're doing the show, then you can add that.
You know what? I'm half interested in that idea just to see what people edit out about the hosts pages. What they throw in there about them.
Oh God, people actually writing down what I've said.
Yes.
That just scares me. That scares me to the bones.
So,
What about if people act on what you say, Killerfish? Does that scare you more?
Yes, it does.
So we are working on the back end for the Bunnycast podcast itself. Now, this Bunnycast, the podcast that you're listening to, is actually going to be the flagship for the Bunnycast networks. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put out an invitation to bunnies that are interested to bring us your show ideas. For instance, Xepharon,
Yes.
you have a show idea.
No. I totally spaced out here for a second. I'm sorry. Show
He
idea.
came back from the monolith. We pulled him back.
I was lingering like a bad stench somewhere. The show idea. Yes.
That's what that was.
This is probably going to be edited if I'm done the wrong thing. Well, I do online DJ. Is this the right track so far?
Yes, go on.
Referring to?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. As we all know, should make it clear that you are a DJ with your head up your ass.
Yes, quite. I was going to
Yes, that's
say...
a reference to a tune. That's all.
No, I do online DJ. And we were thinking about possibly figuring out something using along those lines. Homer, help me. Like I said, I spaced out severely for a minute there. So I was like, and you said, we have something special. Zeph, what? Yes, hello?
Obviously, we didn't get you back from the monolith soon enough.
No.
So we are going to have a variety of programming. There's talk of doing some video podcasts. I know I personally will be branching out and doing another show. And it's going to be quite controversial, I know already. Bring it! Bring it on! Squato, you and I are talking about doing a show.
For the people's hints, it's going to be Helennet talks to your mum.
No.
Oh dear God.
Actually, I have spoken to Killerfish's mom. She likes me.
Actually, you've also spoken to my mother as well. Oh, yes, and my mother's owned you badly, Seth.
We will not refer to that. We'll not bring up that particular discussion. In a nutshell, I was joking around with Squato, and then I said something about 2-year-olds making noises.
You said my mother was like a hamster.
Oh, yeah. I said I fart in your general direction, and your mother is a hamster, doing the bad British accent thing, Monty Python. And so he actually gets his mother, and it goes downhill from there. It went downhill from there.
To be fair, she was standing right next to me when you said that, so that's like, hey, Mum, he said for you.
Yeah, but to be honest, Squato, I think your mother is a nice lady, even though she just verbally kicked my ass.
She likes my drawings.
She does. She also likes EGS.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hey. If we can get her in the forums, we can have a new bunny. Right?
Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to... Because of the fact that she's over 65, you can guess how well her internet skills are. Although apparently, because of the iPad, it's meant to be aimed at more of the old generation. Who knows?
So, let's talk a little bit about... we've got a discussion point here. It's been here for a couple months. Squato will know what I'm talking about here. Battlestar Gate Destiny.
Oh, yes.
What?
No, I'm sorry. I mean, Stargate Universe.
What?
Okay. For those who don't know, the Stargate...
Oh, yes, I remember this.
Yes, the Stargate series. Stargate SG-1 was ended after 10 seasons. Good run. Stargate Atlantis ended after 5. And then they decided to do Stargate Universe.
I love how you didn't. You said it was a good run for Stargate, but nothing about.
Well, I've
Atlantis.
only seen 2 seasons of Atlantis, so I can't say one way or the other about
It was better when they got Amanda Tapping on in Stargate Atlantis.
Well, there you go.
I like the first season. The second series, it didn't feel as good, and I just stopped caring after that.
Stargate Universe. The basic plot is a bunch of humans on a great big starship in another galaxy, and they're trying to get home.
Actually, more than that, they're actually on the opposite side of the universe.
Well,
Several billion light years away.
The universe has a size, so, but yeah.
No, they actually say they're 7 billion light years away from Earth. They give an exact figure.
Yeah, but okay.
How does that work?
Because this ship itself was launched hundreds of millions of years ago into the past. And if you question the logic beyond that, behind this, this is a universe where people have a limit of their brain power of 10% of their mind is used at any one time, despite the fact that we know that's impossible.
So, okay, for those of you who do not follow Stargate, the Stargates were built by the Ancients. The Ancients...
Alterans, apparently.
Okay, the Alterans.
Who may or may not have come from Earth and look like humans.
The Alterans did this ascension thing where they just sort of... they twinkled, and all of a sudden they're Q-like beings that can, like, create matter and all this kind of thing. But
there's a very recent vampire movie that they twinkle too.
Yes.
And there's an even more recent vampire film, if they don't, and they kick fucking ass. Daybreakers.
Yeah, that I want to see. I want to see that. Anyways, and so before the Alterans twinkled, they launched the ship from Earth as a starting point, and then
as you do.
The purpose was to get it sent off, and then they would dial the gate that's built into the ship, and just walk in on the ship, and hey, we're in another galaxy! Woohoo! Well,
and explore the universe from there.
They go and they ascend, but this ship is still out there, and it's still going, and it's going. Humans come along in the current incarnation, and they discover the Stargates, they start exploring, and what's this gate address? We can't dial it, we don't have enough power. Let's build this station on this planet out here in the middle of nowhere. Oh, hey, we have enough power. Who's trying to bomb us? We don't know. Everybody through the gate. They run through the gate. Stargate explodes. They don't have enough power.
Actually, no, the Stargate doesn't blow up. The planet does.
Well, okay. The planet with the Stargate explodes. Yes, exactly. And
Fix your asthma.
Darth?
They're stranded on the ship, the Helennet. They somehow have these stones that allow them to communicate with Earth. It's really weird.
Which just pulled out their ass.
Yeah, that seemed like a Deus Ex Machina to me. But I like the series. I think it's really good. And they did something that I don't think they've ever done before. And that is they took a major character and they basically removed him from the show for at least a few episodes. But he's going to come back. And it's like, the way they did it, like, how the hell is he coming back?
Well, you say that they did something that no series has ever done before. I thought you were going to go along the lines of they made a third branch off the original series and they didn't lose their fan base.
Well, actually, yeah, that's cool.
We haven't even.
I mean, how many series has done this before? I mean, they have. You have like Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Next Generation, just oh my god. And don't get me wrong, I love Star Trek, but it's getting old.
Hence, they've launched the new stuff with the new universe. But yeah, look, that point people have been holding with Stargate. It's like there's some people like, oh, it's still the great series ever, but then even though Atlantis kind of made people lose interest with it, and then you've got with Universe or Boob Cam, as some people are referring to it as.
Baywatch?
No. Well, the reason for this is one of the points that it's one of the controversies that came up with the series is that it's meant to be much better written than the other Stargates are. And, oh, yes, it very much is. It actually has characterizations which are very good. Unfortunately, that point doesn't stand so much for the females, who most of the female characters barely anyone knows the names of. Barely any of the fans know the names of, because they just seem to be there to be emotional state, and that's all they do with the females. It's kind of like in 2012 where the men just basically lead and the women look after the kids.
Yeah.
Except for when they have boob cams, and that the boob cam point comes up because they find these magical video cameras which float, or these magical webcams that float and do all this other types of stuff. And the first time they really get shown is the guy floating one around in the female section, and it prominently shows one of the female characters' chest. Hence, people decide to call it boob cam and be really pissed off about the way women are shown in the show. And I say really pissed off. Well, the reason why people are really pissed off is women go from being the same character, the same type of point with Manta tripping with Colonel Carter, where she goes with where she'll make points like just because I've got
My reproductive organs on the inside doesn't mean I can't kick ass.
thank you to I'm going to cry. And look, we have kind of lesbian vague things going on,
Vague?
and that's about it.
That wasn't vague.
Wait. Sorry, I was tuning you out, Squato. I heard the word lesbian. So.
Something tells me I really need to start watching more TV than Next to Zero.
Well, I've been watching it on Hulu, and right now the show is on hiatus. So if you want to, speaking of hiatuses, if you want to catch up with it, this is probably a good opportunity. I don't know if they still have all the series, because Hulu it does this really stupid thing where they'll only show certain episodes, but that's probably your best bet.
YouTube.
There's other means as well.
It'll be in pieces, but you can get it from YouTube.
Right.
Trust me, the internet has a lot of
Actually, no, you
resources to
can't.
get anything and everything you want. I can find a way.
You have the power.
BitTorrent! Sorry, excuse me. Don't know what that was.
Pirate Bay! Excuse me.
Okay,
I
now...
didn't know you could do a spoken word version of a rap song. He found it.
But yeah, the general point with Stargate is this one. It's a lot of good things. This is where Homer made his joke about it being what was it? Battlestar
Stargate Destiny. Yes.
Yeah, because it's meant. It really you can clearly see where Stargate has influenced this. So
Well,
not Stargate, Battlestar.
The reason I had to ask a question, because originally when he said it, I could have sworn he said something like Battlestar Gay Destiny. That's why I was like, wait, what? I didn't hear it right, so that's my bad.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a very different show, and I'm sure there's a porno of that out there on the floating around somewhere on the net already.
That's it. Rule 36.
Rule 34.
Yeah, Rule 34. You're right.
Oh, whoops.
You'd be amazed at what type of pornos are out there, for instance, and how quickly they can get them out there too.
I have a link to show you guys then after this podcast that makes fun of Avatar. For any of you who have not seen the movie yet, by the time you hear this podcast, mute your speakers for the next 5 seconds, starting now. Good. Now they did this spoof on this Avatar sex scene, which was just absolutely fucking hysterical.
Was this from
Okay,
Saturday Night Live?
No, actually, it was not. It's a flash animation. It doesn't.
I know the one what you're talking about, but I got to show
Yeah,
the Saturday
it doesn't-
Night Live one.
I've seen the Saturday Night Live one also, and they're both absolutely hysterical.
Okay. Let's hold off on talking about Avatar. For a minute.
On track.
Actually, no. Let's continue with Avatar. Killerfish, you wanted to
Off
talk
track.
about Avatar instead of
Yes.
This is
I
the
want to,
only time
Yeah.
you get to do this.
because I've not been reading too many new webcomics. I wanted to talk about it because it is a kick-ass movie.
Yes.
I went to see it in 3D,
Bastard.
saw it, really enjoyed it. I mean, certain scenes where you have things floating in front of your face, and I can't really go into too much about spoiling it for everyone, but it's a kick-ass movie. And I really heartily
I
suggest
don't think
go
you need to
have a
worry
watch
about it being spoiled because people already know how bad the plot's meant to be anyway. It's pretty much clear from the
I don't know. I thought the plot was actually.
rehashed, overdone.
I was
seen
going
it
to say,
many
yeah.
times- many times before.
Granted, the plot had that type of plot has been done before. I'm going to say I liked it because it's not quite like the movies that have done every other plot a billion times before. This plot's only been done 3 or 4.
You're just
The
saying
thing
that
is-
because it's got vaguely furries in it.
And
Okay.
Anyway, the thing is, with a plot like this, you can either do it like everyone else has done it, or you can take it back to what it originally was meant to be and do it well. Which
And they
is what I
didn't do
think
it well.
this movie has done.
oh yeah, that's the other.
Okay, see, I saw it 3D IMAX. Here's my thing. They had a story that was written in the 90s. Had this story had this exact movie, let's say a copy falls through a rift in time, lands on James Cameron's desk in the 90s, he says, "Oh my God, this is exactly what I was thinking." He puts it out in the theaters. Everybody loves it. Then it would have been groundbreaking, original, brand new. But today, it's just old am tired. The story is beaten into the ground, and my God, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, did George Lucas get his hands on the script? I mean, seriously, it felt like I was watching a Star Wars prequel. It was.
I still thought it was really cool. I mean, the thing that made me amazed.
Was Jar Jar in it though?
No, the thing that amazed me about
it. Did you feel
was,
like Jar Jar was it? That's a question for you, Homer.
Fortunately, no.
The thing that amazed me about it was.
So it was.
Oh, microphone. No, it's on. No, the thing that amazed me about it though is that it was the whole. I know what you're doing there. I see what you did. Was that. It's along the lines of, we can't really do this with the film technology. Oh, let's create our own new filming style.
Well, that's
what happened.
That's a whole nother matter. We're not talking about the plot at this point.
No, but
I will say that let's excise the plot from our discussion right now. Like, remove all the bad story writing and the clunky directing. It was fantastic if you take that out. It was an absolutely massive geekgasm. The only thing missing was some vampires, werewolves, and zombies. Seriously.
As much of a geek dork and nerd as I am, I'm going to say that it was absolutely fantastic as is, in terms of graphic-wise.
Well, it had mecha. It had aliens. It had...
Dragons.
What?
Hot women.
Dragons.
What?
Dragons.
Yeah, it had dragons.
I guess.
It had floating islands. It had...
Those were cool.
This whole... It had everything that a geek would love to see in a movie, and where it executed well, it wasn't just good, it was phenomenal. There was a couple points where... Sorry, there's some sirens going by outside.
Cut.
Should make that your opener. Like, that's the whole lead in to Killerfish is playing. Or no, that'll be what follows Killerfish is playing.
So, if it had just been, it was just absolutely phenomenally. There was some points when I went to see it with a friend. Probably the only reason I would have seen it because I could tell it was just going to be just an overload of bad '90s tropes and geek explosions. I turned to my friend. I said, "This is a little bit overkill. This is just a guy." Okay, spoiler alert. I mean, everybody should know by now we spoil the hell out of things.
No.
Bad guy in a ship. It's like maybe 20 yards off the ground floor. It's exploding around him. He ducks out into one of the mechs in the mech bay. He straps himself in, closes the door, kicks out the landing bay, jumps out as this fireball is crashing down around him, lands with his mech, and he's like, "I'm just that badass." And
I need something to kill.
It's like, if this is not the model of testosterone-soaked masculinity, I don't know what is.
Gears of War.
Exactly.
I'm going to kill somebody.
And
Squato's not the only one who does sound effects.
Lest we forget, you cannot have a super geek movie without Sigourney Weaver. And she was there.
Yes.
But she didn't play "get away from her, you bitch" type character.
Yeah, and I think that's where I think there was some bad direction, because sometimes she kind of slipped into that, and a good director would have caught that, reined it in, and you wouldn't have seen it in the rest of the movie. But it kept...
Unless you wanted her to lead into her being more of a direct action hero.
Exactly, and she wasn't. She was supposed to be the scientist, but she was playing a part of, she was playing partially an action-based role, and it wasn't like she was just this passive scientist, which is what that particular role needed. Certainly cranky, certainly aggressive, but not somebody
or passive-aggressive.
There you go. But she kept slipping into the action star role, which, again, she's played that, she does it well, and one can certainly not object to her doing that, but they kept slipping her back and forth from action star to scientist star, action star, scientist star, action, and it broke. There was a point when they're trying.
Question: was it as bad as when Arnie tries to play a scientist or not?
Who?
Arnie.
Arnie.
The Governor.
Oh, Arnold.
Got me hand. Or
To the chopper.
Get to the chopper, yeah.
I
Okay.
need a beaker and 25
Nobody but
milliliters
Xepharon is
of
allowed to do an
hydrochloric
Arnold
acid.
Schwarzenegger impression. Period.
It's not a tumor.
You do it very well.
No, I don't.
Wait a second, we should challenge him.
Oh,
Can you
shit.
do a mix of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Severus Snape?
Oh, God.
Let's not try that right now.
There'll be no wand waving in this class, Mr. Potter.
I will eat you.
I did not kill Dumbledore.
So,
Kill Dumbledore. No. Okay, enough. I'm sorry. I gotta quit.
I'm going to have to ask Leo Laporte if we can borrow one of his sound bites, because it's perfect for a situation like this. It's rat hole,
What?
rat hole. We've gone down the rat hole.
What?
Anyway,
Killerfish,
Sorry,
go!
I'm just-
Squat is confused. This is your chance. Go, go,
sorry,
go!
I'm just wiping the tears away from laughing so hard at that.
You know what? I'm going to get
do
you
most
back to this. I'm going to make you watch Homer. I'm going to make you watch Junior, and with baby Arnold in it.
I can do most of the male cast of Family Guy. I can do most of the male cast of Family Guy voices. Another time.
Another time. Okay, well, okay. To wrap up, for those of us who have seen Avatar, let's give our ratings. I'm going to say, if you're going to see it in 3D, go see it in 3D in the theater. Otherwise, Netflix at best. Killerfish?
Actually, I was going to make a question: is do you think it's got the 3D part's going to?
Sorry, Squato. Is your name Killerfish?
Yes,
Owned.
Killerfish, go.
I totally agree with you. If you're going to go see it in cinema, see it in 3D. There's probably no point seeing it in the boring 2 dimensions of other things. But I loved it.
Xepharon, go.
I'm going to cry because I'm too poor to afford the 3D version in theaters. So I was forced to see it in 2D. However, just the same, I will say that if you do spend your money to watch this film, your money is being very well spent on a fantastic film.
Okay, Squato, what was your question?
okay, I just got a couple of bubbles of in Skype just hit me then. So yeah, that was fun.
Okay, Squato, what was your question?
Okay, what I was saying was about with 3D. Do you think it's going to be something that's going to be big in the long run? The current state or the current version of 3D, because of Avatar's success, there's a shitload of films which are all going to now be 3D. For instance, the new version of Spider-Man, whenever they make that.
If
You mean the real D technology?
if 3D is used like it was in Avatar as a way of
I'm sorry.
if 3D is used like it was in Avatar as a way of just presenting the story and not as a way of saying, "Oh, look, it's a gimmick," then yes, it will work. If they do treat it like it was in Monsters versus Aliens, where there were some scenes you could definitely tell were there just because they had 3D technology, then no, it's not going to really take off.
I detect.
Well, that's what they're doing with was one film they tried to do it as meant to. How did I can't think what it was, but they described it as going to be with the Wizard of Oz for 3D, which means that there's going to be like the black and white sections going to color.
I can, for some reason,
that gimmick point standing out.
I have this strong feeling that Rule 34 is going to take in effect here. We have 3D technology. Oh, guess where we can go? Yeah.
Well, sex bots already exist at the moment, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's a news item we didn't cover. An actual real-life company that is making honest-to-goodness, you can buy them right now, sex robots.
I am morbidly intrigued.
It's
And that's
filthy.
the
I'm never going to drop.
Geeks Defines.
I'm never going to drop a penny on this, but I am morbidly intrigued to find out more information. Simply because it's a topic that is just way the hell out there.
And guess what? And not from Japan.
And I say this I say that it is out of simple curiosity, knowing full well that not one of you out there believes me.
Okay, so let's move on to webcomic reviews. Xepharon, why don't you go ahead and give us yours?
Okay, well, I'm going to first state off that while I do have a webcomic to review, I have not had a lot of time to read into it very much and really can't give a full-out review on it. However, the comic that I have is called Codename Hunter. That, like I said, I can't really give a really good review with it. However, I will say that what I have seen of it, it does provide so far an interesting storyline. That in terms of also artist drawings and the way it's drawn has been done very well. The shading is wonderful. In fact, I'll just give you the review I can. I'll just read off the back of the book here. No, I got this book.
That's not cheating at all.
Adapt and overcome, make do with what you have. I got this comic, actually, I first heard about it when I was at Midwest Fur Fest in Chicago. That's Illinois, the state of Illinois, for you non-U.S. bunnies and listeners. And yes,
Thank you
I
for
am.
considering us.
Mm-hmm. And yes,
Thank you
I
for
am.
considering us.
Yep. And yes, I am a furry, so.
We
This collection.
couldn't tell.
So go on.
Okay, again, I'm reading off the back of this thing, so. Yeah. When the agency finds itself desperate for a mage, their mage having been blown up in a bizarre cursed drum incident, they're left with the only one place to turn, the neighboring nation of Astoria. Unfortunately, relations with the Astorian government have been shaky. With an agent missing and a treaty in the balance, Max and Ruby are sent over to act as escorts to the new mage, only to have someone attempt to kill them. The more they discover about Astoria, and the more they suspect the RCSI is hiding something. What's the agency's secret? And just who is the murderous person behind the dark robe? Contains issues 1 through 7 and interludes mailbag and the scrying number 1. Yay! It probably didn't help a whole hell of a lot, I know, but
Actually,
like
that's a really good synopsis to get people started, and it does have a website, right?
yeah, oh yes, let me find that again real quick, because
I'll have to say it once again, Xepharon has the best reading voice ever.
I did find out. Oh, get this! I was talking to a buddy of mine on Skype while I'm looking up the website here. I was talking to a buddy of mine on Skype who is actually from Scotland. Just for shits and giggles, people wanted me to try my Scottish accent in front of him. And he says it's actually not bad. It's not offensive like most Americans who do try. Okay, the website, now that I've got back to it, for this is RCSI.
1 second, guys.
Okay. You want me to hold off or you want me to keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. The website is rcsitravel.net /index. Let me try it without the /index.php. Yeah, okay. rcsitravel.net. RCSI, it's actually in the first few pages here. It's not in the first few pages here. I don't remember what it stands for. Okay, never mind.
Is that the name of the agency?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it stands for, so that's okay. I love the apparently it's sort of a comic on, I guess, what you might go with. I'm probably going to be using the wrong term, political, whatnot, because the volume title is A Political Spell, and the front page here says diplomacy is hard. Diplomacy with magic is even harder.
Okay, Squato, let's go on to your webcomic review.
Okay, this is a comic which was actually pointed out to me by someone a couple of months ago, actually. I will outright say that the art style is bad, but it does improve, and they do actually do something which even a lot of developed artists don't do, and this is the person actually draws backgrounds, and they're actually quite impressive.
Oh my god, backgrounds?
Wow. Oh yeah.
When I say by backgrounds, like the setting itself, they actually have it in a city, and the city itself looks like it's a developed city, not like you see with a lot of comics. And I'm going K for the sounds of this that I'm hearing.
Sorry about that. I've got a 2-year-old in here.
Go on.
Okay. Yeah, basically, you'll see the point what I mean by the art. I'm just going to point that over to Killerfish. Oh, sorry, guys, just see. You see what I mean? I'm just trying to find a good link here, guys. Go. You can agree or disagree.
I'm eating food.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay. AirPatrolOnline.org, it looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I can definitely see how the environment would be a big part of this comic. Yeah.
Characters, less so much. The art style for that is not so good for the characters, but it's an interesting style mix between, because this person is German, so it's a mix between that and anime where they've tried to go with. And I say with anime, particularly the Studio Ghibli style, because you can see that stand out very clearly in a few situations.
Studio Ghibli, you mean?
Ghibli, sorry, whatever. Hayao Miyazaki Studio.
Oh, God.
Okay, so.
Anyway, as to the story itself, basically, it's set around the 2050s or so, about in the 2030s, sometime around 2020s or so, US falls apart due to whatever happens. I'm not going to go into detail about what, because they don't, and really, who cares? It's just a plot point. Anyway, for those people that are offended from it from America. Moving on. With the fall of the US, you have Europe decides to unify itself together into a new superpower, while at the same time, the rise of China effectively means that Southeast Asia unifies together, which then sees the two sides locking into a Cold War, heating up into a potential hot war. This is because Europe is basically knows they're not going to succeed against the Chinese in this future war. They decide to develop a new types of warriors, as they refer to them, mutants, basically humans mixed in with anthros type, well, with animal DNA, so you got anthros.
Right.
Ah, there we go. I was wondering where we're going with this.
Yeah. But the problem is it's going to take 10 years for it to develop, and because of the fact the military wants to have their war now, they can't, they get sick waiting. And what happens in the long run is the war actually doesn't come to pass, both sides actually start to talk, and the world gets informed about this secret project. Cut to 15 years later, and the Anthros are now living in with the modern society. They're not part of any military, but the plot itself follows some of them who have become police officers in the city of Munich. Sorry, New Munich in Germany. And it follows what happens with... It's actually generally interesting, the story. Yeah, it's somewhat cliche, but it's actually interesting. Because this person who took it, they obviously did a fairly good job of trying to develop this universe that this happens in before they went with it, especially with the prologue, because it actually gives this detail. Like I said, it's set 15 years before. It's only about 12 or so pages, and immediately skips into the main story, which is set in the 2050s. And yeah, as I said, it's will develop with the fact that you actually have neo-Nazi groups who are opposed to the Anthros existing. And where it's got the Anthros actually appearing into modern society. For instance, rules governing where they can work, where they can... Like, for instance, if they want to play in sports teams, because of their apparent ability to... their better abilities than most humans, there's limits on how they can play in sports. For instance, if they want to play in the European soccer leagues, one per team. Things like that.
I still say that kind of reality would be awesome. Well, minus all the restrictions, but
there is some really dumb bits in there, and the fact that one of the characters has the power to grow really, really tall and grow really, really short, which is, and I make that point because it's really funny looking back at that in retrospect after Dan's point from his newspaper.
Which superhero on the Super Friends team was it that could do that also? Looked like the Indian guy. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're seeing a repeat here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's yeah. So overall, it's not a bad one to take a look at. Be aware there is, as I said, there's cliches with the art can be a bit off-putting at times, but it does improve, and it actually is going into very interesting points. And the backgrounds for these characters are very interesting, particularly trying to work out whereabouts they are in the scale in the grey scale, because no one in this comic is actually white and no one is actually black in terms of where they lie. They're all got backgrounds. They're all got idea. It's implied because it's actually a silly new comic that hasn't updated too much. No one's exactly good, no one's exactly bad. One thing I will say that's very interesting about this person who makes this comic is actually German, so yes, some of the English translations are a bit off, but if you do know German, you have the German version of it. So you can actually read it in both versions.
Cool. That's actually pretty cool. I like it when comics do come in multiple languages.
That is actually pretty handy. Unfortunately, it's not as handy as if I did know German. But
the person who did it did translate it themselves, so that's why it's in both, because they're apparently bilingual. As I said, there's odd words which you really can stand out in the English version which just don't gel well, but you pick them up.
Okay.
It's one of those ones that comes with, the good comes with the bad, so yeah. Worth taking a look at least.
Yes.
What fun.
No, Killerfish, you cannot conquer the world using anthros like they do in the comic. You have to make the anthros first.
And apparently it takes 10 years in the comic for them to grow to adulthood. And as you see, the military is not too happy because it's taking 10 years. They want their war now.
Hey, even in world domination and conquering the planet, these 6 P's still come into play. Proper planning prevents piss-poor performance. It takes time. So if you're going to conquer the world, do it right.
I'm going to go ahead and move on to my review. I'm reviewing the comic House Pets with an exclamation point. The website for those following along at home is housepetscomic.com. They do have a decent archive, and it is an ongoing comic, as well as, of course, an RSS feed, which for me is an absolute must. And the art style is consistently good, even from the start, which is a trend I've been noticing. A lot of new comics that are starting out, the artists are tending to wait until they have a really good art style that is really distinctive in their own. For instance, in this comic, I don't think I've ever seen this precise art style ever before. To give you an idea of the setting, imagine a sort of a parallel world to ours. It's very, very similar. A lot of the same government, organization. There's nothing too radically different, except all the animals are sentient. All the animals are sentient.
They know all your secrets.
They see you masturbate at night.
Hello, ceiling cat.
They haven't made that joke yet, but I wouldn't be surprised. The 2 main characters at the start, and they kind of hold a prominent position throughout, are Peanut Butter the dog and Grape the cat. Peanut and Grape for short. So it's peanut butter and jelly. It's cute.
And no time here.
Time? What about time?
Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
I walked into that. Okay.
Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Peanut butter jelly with a baseball bat.
God, I get that at work. I used to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at work all the time because for a while I was really craving peanut butter and jelly. And everybody would, every time they saw me doing it, peanut butter, jelly time, peanut butter. It's like, stop it!
Well, then I'll go on that tangent. So, I have things I can rant about, but I won't.
Anyways, so it's the comic is very much a relationship soap opera, and they really introduce a bit of it right at the beginning when they show. There's Peanut Butter fancies himself a bit of an artist. Yes, all the animals have opposable thumbs except the dolphins, and the dolphins can't talk, but they communicate telepathically. Anyways, so Peanut Butter fancies himself a bit of an artist, so he's doing some art, and Grape comes along and says, so what are you drawing? Oh, it's a picture of a dog. It's pretty good. The only problem is the tail looks a little funny. It's a little too long, and Peanut says,
Oh, God.
Oh, that's because it's a cat's tail.
Oh, God. I remember this. I've read this comic.
And it from there it launches into kind of this world's version of a furry. We meet him, and we learn about gender perceptions and barriers and things like that. And that the gender perception is a joke they really play around with a lot as they go.
Shh. You're a girl?
So you get introduced to various characters, like the graduate from the police dog training academy, who comes back to huge aplomb and applause from the people, the rest of the dogs in the good old dogs club on the street, and he says, "Guys, seriously, have your fun, have your party, but I just want to go home and sleep." So he goes home, and there's his.
Why do I see that character having an Austrian accent?
That actually would kind of fit for the character.
Yeah, that reminds me of coming back from Iraq and everything. Everyone's like, "Let's go do this and hang out," and like, I just want to go to bed.
and so the police dog goes to his home, goes down to the basement. And there's his secret lover that nobody knows about except for him, and it's a cat. And,
Well, I should hope he'd know about it.
Well, yeah, and they're making, and Peanut, who was looking for the police dog, stumbles onto the window, looking down into the basement where they're doing this, and he's all. And
Why did I suddenly think of a mid-90s cartoon here?
it kind of does have that feel. I do have to admit, it's just really a lot of fun. The stories are never terribly serious. I think my favorite was the. If you hear a noise in the background, that's one of my daughter's toys. That's light activated, and the sun is at just the right height.
Oh, God. Light activated toys?
Yeah, that was my wife's idea.
Funny you said that, because I was recently rewatched, which was the film again, On the Beach, and there's a point about that. And I kind of have to laugh a little bit with you making that point.
Anyways, so where the hell was I?
Peanut and
That
grape.
was
So yeah,
in no time.
The stories don't take themselves seriously. My favorite was the member of PETA, and PETA in this universe is a terrorist organization.
How's that different from our words?
Lots of good stories, and like any really good sort of comedy, you get the occasional moment of seriousness that really offsets it and really drives the point home. And they do a masterful job. The writer is really, really good. I have to say that right off the front. Now, if you're going back and reading through the archives, it does start out in black and white. And the only problem I had with that is sometimes it was hard to tell if they were introducing a new character, if they were showing an old character. But when the comics move into color, it's much easier to keep them all sorted out. Because while you could have two, say, ferrets that otherwise look completely identical, when it's in color, one will be blonde and one will be sort of a darker brunette color. And then, okay, this is this one, this is this one. It makes it much easier. Kind of like trying to tell twins apart, but with the advantage of different skin pigmentations, because one of them has been in the sun. But if you were looking at a black and white photo, you wouldn't really notice. That's the end of that kind of tangent. My apologies.
No problem. I'm just watching.
We'll remove the straps from him so he can talk.
I'm just reading the one where Peanut and Grape are playing Weather Wizard, and they're just about to throw a bucket of water onto a sea. So, it's all good.
I completely didn't hear any of what he just said then.
You don't need to.
That's good.
Generic English comment.
French is better.
So, let's do a recap here. To start out with, we talked a bit about the forum, and that's a topic I'm sure we're going to be revisiting.
Actually, first off, we proved we were alive. Then we talked about the forum.
That's true. That's true. Then we talked a little bit about the comic. As we all mentioned, it's wrapping up nicely, answering a bunch of questions about Sister 2, so on and so forth. We talked about abysmal product launches and a really good
there was one thing we did forget to mention with EGS. Dan's got his new site, his blog site.
Oh.
Yes, which he has sworn up and down that he's just going to be making it fun. Okay.
And he's posted the odd image on there. It's kind of like his updated version of DES.
Yes. We bagged on the Australian government for a while.
And we'll always be doing so.
Introduced me as...
Radisson, you fucking suck.
We talked about where we've been and where the podcast is going. We enjoyed our little discussion of Battlestar Stargate Universe, rather.
Battlestar Gay Destiny.
And
one point I will make is, I know it's influenced by Stargate, but it's not overall very much Stargate-like.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, sorry. It's
see, even you're getting confused.
And I didn't get much sleep, so yay for me.
And we segued nicely into a discussion about Avatar. When the general consensus was go see it in 3D. And we talked about different webcomics, airpatrolonline.org, rcsitravel.net for codename Hunter, and housepetscomic.com for housepets. And here we are at the end of the show. Did anybody have any projects they wanted to talk about before we close up?
I wanted to plug a website for mountainocarina's.com, but
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
mountainocarina's.com, you said?
Let me click on that,
right.
by the way. You gave that to me
So,
earlier. Oh, yeah,
Sex site. There it is.
Well, we know it's on Squato's history list.
Yes.
No, I was joking about Google links, what comes up with Google.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, my introduction as an official cast member.
Yeah.
That made me happy. I was like, all glee. Or wait, is it
we were
squee?
like, bloom.
Is squee?
So, do you have any projects you're working on, Zeph?
Well, as far as website related, no. But I do draw. I've been trying to get better. But I do draw. I've got 2 images I'm actually working on. One is actually probably the most mature rated I've ever done as a request from someone. And then after seeing Avatar, I figured, oh, this movie's badass. I'm inspired to draw again and stuff. So I started doing that. Hey, Lauren. That's the kid. But so, yeah, I'm working on a couple pictures. Oh, yeah, my personal project. I am trying to open a business. I am a business owner. We haven't started yet.
Ah, yes, the wonderful time where we're not making money. I know the feeling.
Yes. However, I am a legitimate business name. We are actually registered with the state of Indiana as an actual established company. Just we have no money, no stock, no merchandise, no income, no location, which we're hoping to fix very soon. I need money. So I need a job. So that's the other thing is I figured if I can't find work, I'll make work.
Okay.
I'm half interested to hear how you can make work.
Okay, guys, stop chatting. Your little bleeps and bloops are being recorded.
I can't hear it.
I can. And I'm the one recording. Squato, any projects you want to talk about?
What was the last project update I gave before?
That you're working on a project you couldn't talk about yet.
Captain
About the
Bay.
same.
Okay. For those of you who have been following my Twitter feed will know that I am working on many aspects of the Bunny universe. I'm calling it under the umbrella title of Bunny Co., short for Bunny Corporation.
Hello.
You can... pretty soon I'll
Registered
be posting...
in the great and glorious nation of whatever has the weakest tax laws.
I'll be posting links to permanent websites for those soon. So look for that. And I think with that, we just have one more thing, and that is to plug our good sponsors at Shastrix.
Hooray!
Shastrix!
They will control your life
Oh,
once they
wow.
get the shiny and the bombs working.
I have to say
And whatever the hell
this,
they just need. Yep.
the 2-year-old in here, her name is Lauren. Not my kid, but is sitting here.
You just picked it up off the street.
Just found it. Is just sitting here going bunny, 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 bunny. Hold on, I've got it. You guys have to hear it. Come on, Lauren, say it, bunny. Come on, no, come on, it's the bunny. Of course, she's not going to say it now.
Yeah.
Bunny.
Zeph, I'm a parent. The kids never do what you want. And
Hey, bunny, you want your bunny? Bunny, you want your bunny?
Yay!
You hear her? No, she's trying now. Anyway.
Okay,
Interesting.
well, it's time for everybody to say goodbye. So let's go around the horn. Squato, say goodbye.
Hello, 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 hello.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye, farewell, auf Wiedersehen to you.
Killerfish.
And now he's being chased by the Nazis.
No!
Wait, where's those police sirens?
Good night, everybody.
Good day, afternoon, evening.
Chasing one day after the next. No settle down, no easy text, baby. But it makes me feel alive when you're here by my side. You complete the two of us, you make the rules apply. It's a crazy world, in a twisted turn of reality. It's you and me, and I need you here to keep some sanity. We are but pawns in a faded game of cat and mouse. Maybe a couple of headshots thrown out here and there. This crazy world is all messed up, all in my hair. I've got you, I don't care.
The Bunnycast is a production of the Bunnycast Network, Crazy World, and Because of Your Grace, used without permission. This production is in no way affiliated with Alguna Shive or any of the persons or properties mentioned. The views reflected in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily of the hosting company or other affiliated parties. The Bunnycast is made on a map.
In a faded game of cat and mouse. Maybe a couple of guinea pigs thrown out here and there. This crazy world is all messed up in my head. I got you, I don't care.